Good morning, class, and welcome back to the Nerd Academy Movie Club, the show where your favorite nerds watch some movies. I am your host, Jarod Bachman-Stubbs, and joining me, as always, is the one and only Devin Armel.
What's going on, guys?
I like the pointing. Let's go.
Thank you. It's very just, I don't know. It's like my nips when it gets cold. Just,
pointing in two different directions as well.
Yeah, very erotic. Please continue.
We've gotten to the end of Ryan Coogler month here on Nerd Academy Movie Club, and we got one last movie here to review, probably his most popular body of work. Our first MCU entry, Black Panther.
So much fun, man. Just like out the gate, I was looking forward to it. I remember leaving the theater feeling a little apprehensive about it. And that was, when it came out, February 2018. And looking back now, I'm not sure what all the problems I had were. So, that's a good start. That's a good sign.
I don't remember ever, really being, on the fence about Black Panther. I always loved it.
Yeah.
It was just a movie. I was just like, this is damn fun. It's an important movie. It's important, for the culture, for representation, for movie culture, that is. I mean, this movie has a lot of intersections with a lot of different cultures. You just got general movie culture, nerd culture, black cinema. This is kind of up there for everything there.
Mm-hmm. It won an Oscar, damn it.
He was nominated for Best Picture, damn it.
So, I don't know, man. The people really like the movie too. The movie comes in with a 7.3 out of 10 on IMDb, a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Love to see it.
That's really impressive.
Yeah, I agree. That's especially for a movie that, with the online right being what it is, and that type of shitty nerd existing, the fact that it could survive with that kind of high praise is very impressive.
Mm-hmm. So, the plot of the movie. I liked all of it, really. I liked the core conflict of, what they're saying about social issues. I like all the characters. There wasn't a single motive I wasn't unsure about. Even Ulysses Claw, at the end of the day, he was a great villain for me. What else is important in the plot? Oh, the setting. Can we just talk about how cool Wakanda looks all the time?
That Afrofuturism aesthetic is unmatched.
It's just the train sequences, the cliff fights, and the technology of stopping the waterfall. The other kingdom, in Baku's kingdom.
Yeah,
the gorilla design. Yeah. And just I don't know, these beautiful skyscrapers and the force field looking like they're about to crash into a huge mountain. It's boom, boom, boom. Most beautiful thing you'll ever see. Did you say something?
Sorry about that, everybody. That was a weird little hiccup. Everybody kind of disappeared there for a second, but we're back now. No, I agree with you completely. I said in the audio commentary, one of if not my favorite set pieces in the whole movie is the T'Challa on the cliff of the waterfall. It's just so beautiful. The way it's lit with that stormy skies at dusk kind of look, with the way the clouds are. One of the best things about Wakanda aesthetically is that it kind of feels equal parts. Pardon me, I'm yawning. It feels equal parts very, very high-tech city while still being, well within nature.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm getting a lot of feedback, of myself.
Confusion. coming through on my side,
All
which
right.
is good.
Whatever. Trucking along.
But yeah, there's that hybridization of incredibly organic and incredibly urbanized and high tech. You put them together and you get a very interesting aesthetic that is so uniquely Wakanda and so unique to this movie.
No, I totally agree. And
plus the added benefit of like getting to see Wakanda come to life at last.
Sure. And like the other cultures that also are part, like the different tribes, just getting like a taste of them and like the council and the ritualistic fight. It's just like, once again, in a Ryan Coogler movie, it feels like there was so much thought just put in and invested to make this feel like a world and to like put you in this world. Like we saw it in Fruitvale. We were in, oh my God, what was the character's name? I'm totally blanking on the character from Fruitvale, but we were in his world. Did it with Creed too. Like we were in that boxing world. We knew what it was like. It wasn't like as gritty or serious of a tone as Fruitvale by any means, but then again, neither was Black Panther. Like he still put us in that world, and it just feels so immersive, like so nice, rewarding.
I wanted to make sure we had it right. It was Oscar.
Oscar, thank you.
I wanted to say Oscar, but I felt like I was wrong for some reason. But yeah, no, there's a very like Ryan Coogler's talent for making a world feel like the real world is it cannot go without being mentioned.
Just
every
style
is like such a real person. Yeah, absolutely. You can feel that it is him just from the way that it is shot and presented.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, you were about to speak.
No, go ahead. I was gonna move on to the characters if you were ready to.
I wanted to ask, did you do budget and box office yet?
Yes, I did.
Oh, you did do budget and box office.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. I did the ratings, but I have the box office stuff.
You want to do box office and budget real quick?
So the budget of the film, a generous Marvel number of $200 million. The box office, a whopping 1.347 billion. So 1,347,000,000, already almost twice the budget by itself. Billion. And a cool little stat, Black Panther is the fourth fastest film to get to $700 million, only behind Avatar in third, Avengers Endgame in second, and Star Wars The Force Awakens at first. So you got some pretty good company up there on that freaking list. Although some people, I feel like, hate The Force Awakens, but
I mean,
I know you're a big fan, so we don't need to get into that territory.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's Daring Younger Brother, The Last Jedi is my favorite of that bunch, but we
absolutely
save that conversation for a different day. I love how I just casually bring up how much I love Ryan Johnson, and you never bite, and it frustrates.
I'm not going to.
I know you're not. I know you're not going to until we do a Ryan Johnson month, and I'm going to.
I mean, it's just not. It's not welcome in this episode. We're talking about Black Panther.
I know.
A good film.
Oh, there it is. I was being an asshole, and I was asking for it. No, so that's an incredible company. One of the things that blows my mind is that it speaks to the quality and the love that general audiences have for this movie is the fact that aside from his appearance in Civil War, Black Panther is not an established hero or character or IP.
True.
No, granted, it has the added benefit of being a part of the MCU, which
doesn't hurt anything.
It does technically make it a part of an established IP, but aside from that, this doesn't have the kind of buzz around it that like a Spider-Man did, or at least the kind of buzz.
Mm. And
Box
it's
office for itself, but
yeah, and it's cool too because now like thanks to I feel like Gal Gadot's portrayal of Wonder Woman and Chadwick as Black Panther, it feels like I see a lot more like little kids during Halloween time, like getting to be someone that they look up to as a superhero. Know what I mean? And
absolutely.
and it's so and like you could see it all the time. Like any interview Chadwick ever did, he was always talking about like this like changed my life. People are always coming up to him, you know, what kind like do the thing, like it's like I don't know. I feel like, like people perceived it so well. The general audience definitely could get like the like big picture message of the film, and I think that message is what makes Killmonger a great villain, and like the movie as a whole, it just elevates it. So like
Yeah,
it's bigger than just like the first black superhero getting as like a solo film. Well, okay, it's happened before, obviously, but like this character. And
I do think using the term superhero is important because whenever this is on its way out, people are like, "Oh, we got Blade, we have this, we have that." This is the first superhero because Blade, frankly, anti-hero.
I would agree with you.
There is like a nature of violence there. Yeah. Luke Cage had his own show. Luke Cage, in essence, is rooted in, and this isn't a bad thing, of course, but a lot of Luke Cage's through line is he's Harlem's hero, and a lot of that has to do with the systemic racism that Luke Cage and the people around him have to face.
Mm-hmm.
With Black Panther, this is a hero like a Superman, like a Batman, where it is not so much look at what they have to overcome to even be a hero, like it is with a Luke Cage. It is look at what they do and how they help and how they are a symbol to others. The whole point of Wakanda as a concept is that it is this idealized version of what an Africa could have looked like that was not ravaged by white
Mm-hmm.
colonial,
Mm-hmm.
and getting to see a hero who exists as outside of that, outside of the way that that type of imperialism and colonialism affected the world at large, is special in the same way that you don't come back to the fact that Superman's from Kansas necessarily. It's not about Batman being from a city. That's not the point of them. The same way here, like Wakanda is a set piece. Wakanda is where he's from, but what matters more is his heroism and what he represents.
Yeah, and by the end of the movie, he wants to represent
Yeah.
he wants to represent so much more, and that's just a part of like his character arc too. And like you remember the scene where T'Challa was just resurrected with the heart-shaped herb, and he goes into the plane, the ancestral plane again, and there's like his father, and then there's a bunch of guys around them, presumably like their fathers and their fathers before them. And the father tells him that the reason that they made that lie was to preserve, like to protect Wakanda, to preserve Wakanda, that our secret, our life, everything was for Wakanda. And when you think about how like just straightforward and blunt he delivered that, it just makes you think about how his father and like those fathers before them had the same mentality, but T'Challa is the one, because in this day and this time it has to change. And you get to see that arc until the very end, like mid-credit scene, and it's so cool. And it takes him a lot to see it, understanding Killmonger's struggle, like understanding the death of his father, wrapping his head around that, trying to be a good king, his ex-girlfriend, his love, wants to like help people who are in need. She just can't rest until like they're okay. She can't be sedentary. And then by the end of the movie, he like recognizes that and confronts his father about that and sees Killmonger's point, but also recognizes that he's a monster and everything like that. So,
well, yeah, and I think that's another thing that I really, really like about this is that while it does hold, it does create this this version of a world that could have existed beyond again the ugliness of that type of colonialism and how horribly it affected a lot of those countries in that territory in that region. It also holds a mirror up to Wakanda in the same way a mirror can and should be held up to most powerful nation states. With that question of you're hoarding all this wealth, all this power, all this technology, you could save the world tomorrow. Why aren't you? Oh my God, I just lost his name. I was remembering it and I lost it. Daniel Kaluuya's character. When he says, like, you bring in refugees, you bring their problems with them. Just that, like, outward.
We just watched it and I don't remember.
Wakabi. I was trying. I could hear the K in my mind, but I couldn't think of it. We have somebody like a Wakabi who is so incredibly fearful of bringing anybody in to Wakanda. There's so much that even though Wakanda is meant to be this idealized version of a non-colonized Africa, that you still see what happens whenever you have a nation that is more concerned with a concept of sovereign, like the nation's concept of itself over the lives of others it could be saving. That again, that's where you have a villain like Killmonger, whom in essence is not wrong. Like he has accurately assessed the problem. That it is black and brown people who are, were in chains and in just different ways today still in chains. And that a serious attempt to liberate them is possible. And however, it's like, oh, but you want to massacre entire nations, which is, where he becomes a little less agreeable at that point.
Yeah, but like he continues that ideology the entire time up until his death. Like, yeah, bury me in the ocean. Just like he's
such a poignant line too.
That line, and whenever Black Panther just caught him in that sick scene after the casino, and like Claw's like, please have mercy, and he's like, every breath you take is mercy from me. And I was just like, oh, like I've yet to see this. Well, I guess we saw it in Civil War, but like I like that he's still got it. Don't piss him off too much.
That and like the way that Andy Serkis delivers that line beforehand is just like, mercy, king, mercy. The way he says it is just like, you can tell he's pissing a little bit. But yeah, I think that there's everybody in this movie, or not necessarily everybody, but every idea in this movie is really complex and runs really deep. And it asks a lot of questions of its audience. There is a very black and white interpretation of it that is, helping people good, killing people bad.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also a read of it where you have to recognize that, that our forefathers, the people who create the world of which we live in, no matter how pleasant it may be for us, happened by virtue of exploitation of other people, or at the very least, somebody got screwed over at some point. And somebody needs to answer that. Somebody has to address that and, unfuck the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And just the dynamic between T'Challa and Killmonger and T'Chaka, whichever name you want to attribute him with, is just so poignant. It's this war between two very different princes. And the fact that T'Challa truly understands that he's wrong to still keep trying to keep Wakanda in that box.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a responsibility there. I absolutely love it. Every second of it.
Totally agree. And I don't know. I feel like a lot of characters in this movie have fulfilled motives.
Yes.
Doesn't help that the cast is just an endless list of talent. Just every performance was killed. I love my man Bilbo. I love Andy Serkis, Gollum. I love I don't want to butcher her name. Lupita Nyong'o.
Lupita Nyong'o.
Oh, that's what it is. Lupita Nyong'o. She was awesome. The girl that was from The Walking Dead, Okoye.
I always forget she was in The Walking Dead. I always forget that that's where most people know her from.
That was my first introduction to her. So seeing her, like, I saw this movie with my friends from high school at the time, and like we had grown up watching The Walking Dead, and so it was just like, yes, like that is such a good casting, like of her.
Yeah.
Chadwick Boseman, Michael B. Jordan, Sterling K. Brown, Forrest Whitaker, Daniel Kaluuya.
Kahlua. I always say Kahlua, which makes him sound like the coffee liqueur. But that's how I've heard it pronounced before, and that's what I go with. And if I'm butchering that, somebody tell me I'm a big, dumb, stupid idiot in the comments. I know this movie gets shit for its CGI. There's only a hand, like I can count on one hand the amount of shots that are like even slightly questionable.
Yeah.
Really. Like I know there's that one rough shot that like looks like it's recreating Spider-Man 3 where they're like tumbling through the railway network.
That moment.
One of the rhinos looks kind of
I was just about to say some of the rhinos. Like especially in like the charging and like clobbering people moments. And the crashing.
That's the one that I think of. Is the one that like gives Okoye a kiss where it's like love, would you kill me for Wakanda without a second thought? It's like, yeah, bad bitch in charge.
Mm-hmm. I'm so happy they brought her around for like Infinity War Endgame.
I love that she kills Ebony Maw. I don't know why Corvus Glaive. I love the way that she just absolutely massacres him during the final battle of Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's right after the A-Force scene where they charge in, and after Corvus Glaive gave everybody such shit in the last movie, like without even missing a beat, she just puts her spear right through his chest.
Yep.
Like she just straight up ends him.
Because he's never met her before. She doesn't even need to know that. She's just like, this guy needs to die.
Yeah, she just sees some clown with another clown with a spear. Just done.
Javelin.
Yeah. Oh my God. Speaking of the javelin, that bit with the car in South Korea, where she just like made the car wrap around the vibranium spear. Oh, It's beautiful.
The whole, I think it's like the Dora Milaje. Dora
Milaje, yeah.
Awesome. Just like an awesome group of badass women. Like, I'd feel safe around them all all the time.
I'd feel safe.
Just
I mean, I would too. I would even be a little bit scared myself. I'd be like, y'all, there's a level of ass beating that one ascends to where you can't even breathe wrong. I'd be afraid.
Almost all of the fight scenes, though, all of them, like pretty badass. Like the opening one in the jungle, I could watch that all day. Whenever he's like walking towards the guy, eating the bullets in the chest, and then he like eats the shotgun to the face, looks away, and looks back real fast, just sends him. I'm like, oh, all day. Just take my money. But like that scene, they're both the ritual battle scenes, the car chase, and him like just destroying cars and eventually catching Claw. Even breaking Claw out of jail, fun, exciting sequence. Black Panther laid down a grenade. Then he got noob tubed into a wall. I'm just going over action scenes. When Killmonger kills Claw. Oh, when Killmonger and Claw steal the vibranium in the beginning. Another great setup scene. Like all the action scenes, and of course the final battle. Just
I stand by my favorite fight being the is this a king? Nah. Like that's still my favorite fight on the cliffside where they think T'Challa. It's just such a good fight. I love the way it's choreographed. There's some of those hits are just so plosive. I love the one bit where Killmonger kind of does like the flurry with the spear and the sword and then follows it up with that like really, really, really strong back kick that goes straight into the shield and it staggers T'Challa.
Yep.
Like that just felt like there was a concussion to that it you really felt every hit for that fight.
No, I totally agree.
More than the other fights, but slightly. I don't remember the scene where Killmonger like commends T'Challa for scoring the killing hit.
Oh, I remember that. I remember him saying nice move or hell of a move.
He says that was a good move. I don't remember him saying that. I did not remember that until hearing it again here. Which I don't know. There was a charm to that where he's like, "Oh, damn, you're good at this." Speaking of charm, Michael B. Jordan as Eric Killmonger is just. I said in the audio commentary that scene where he starts speaking the Josha, where he's all of those words, and I'm not going to like attempt to like repronunciate because I don't know how to say them. It was like all of them mixed together with like him saying like Indijaka. Like it was so good. Like there's this
hey auntie,
so good, so damn good. He's so electric, and like I think after the last two movies we watched, between Fruitvale Station, which heartbreaking story based on a actual narrative. They still play this like really charming, affable, loving guy, right? In Creed, he's playing this, headstrong underdog, wants to be the best, whatever. Here, he's a violent terrorist, and he's still just so unrepentingly charming.
Yeah.
It's probably my favorite part of every performance he's in. Is I just love him.
Did you see the Super Bowl commercial of him being the new like Alexa robot?
So I was working during the Super Bowl, so I could not quite keep up with the commercial.
I'm gonna have to send it to you.
With, like scary blue eyes and being naked in a bathtub.
Oh, the blue eyes, dang.
I didn't mind it. He's a good looking son of a bitch. Also, I'm so glad I get to talk about this. It's such like a simple, like it's not. I have like a really aggressive and passionate love of that shot where Killmonger's walking up to the throne and the camera's like
Yeah,
slowly turning, because again, like I love that shot itself is a really fun visual metaphor, both for the way that he is perverting and like inverting the Wakandan ideals. That he's like literally flipping it upside down. He's also kind of like turning the world upside down by his very presence of being this like forgotten prince. The like I love that all of the like the upside down inversion flipping imagery and metaphor that comes with that shot as he's walking towards the throne with that like really 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 powerful hip hop beat in the background of the music. Ludwig Göransson
Ooh.
as a unit.
I'm right there with you, dude. The score was ridiculous. Like, oh, it just got me there every time. I was always like, either like, shit's going down, or like, this is like, oh, this just feels really cool. Like, effortlessly. It's just, I don't know. It got me there.
It's really because I love how Movie Club has also turned into the show where I just don't shut up about the hip hop I'm listening to. The hip hop I already don't shut up about because it's been Will Smith, Gambino, and Kendrick that all come up. There's this phenomenal podcast on Spotify that I absolutely love called Dissect. And each season they do a deep dive analysis on a different rap album. Each season's a different album. Each episode is a song on said record. And most recently, they did a season on Childish Gambino's Because of the Internet. Phenomenal album, phenomenal season. Ludwig Göransson is one of Donald Glover / Childish Gambino, whatever you want to call him. He's one of his favorite. He's his favorite producer. They've worked together on pretty much every major studio release that Glover / Gambino has done. There is one of my favorite songs from Because of the Internet, Oakland, has the same. I can't remember the name of it, but that the one of the instruments that is used predominantly throughout the score of Black Panther, it also is used in "Pray for Me," which is my favorite song from the soundtrack, The Weeknd and Kendrick, where
so good.
That boom, but like that, like really plosive drum beat that's happening there is that instrument. At first I thought that was like a studio sound that was made. I don't even know how to replicate. I don't know what the fuck noise I just made was, but like I could point out to you if the song was on. That is an actual African instrument, and I learned that listening to Dissect. And again, I thought that was something that they did, in studio for the score and for Pray for Me, but that's an actual African instrument. Like there's a lot that went into producing the music of this movie. On top of its own original soundtrack and all the stuff that was composed by Ludwig Göransson, there is an entire music from an Inspired By album that is curated and produced by Kendrick Lamar that I've not made it any secret on any of these goddamn podcasts. And if you follow me on any social media, I simp Kenny and I simp, so hard. So I remember getting so excited whenever they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna have a whole album dedicated to this movie." Kendrick Lamar's name all over the name and voice all over this son of a bitch. And it's phenomenal. Like there's not a bad track on the Black Panther album.
Not even close.
Plus all the other talent that's on there. Like Vince Staples, Weeknd, SZA, Future. There's all kinds of phenomenal rap acts right now that are on that album. And granted, this podcast isn't about the soundtrack, but all those songs are still in the movie, and phenomenally so. They're so well implemented, and you got some that are kind of supposed to be a little bit more ingrained into the plot. Like the characters can hear it. It's implied whenever they go to the casino in South Korea, that Pray For Me is actually playing inside of the casino. The environment it creates just within a moment. Like all you hear is that those couple bars of the instrumental, and then you get the weekend like, I'm always ready for a war. Yeah, that's the noise. That's the instrument. That is that instrument I was talking about that you are replicating way better than I could. You like just a couple bars, the weekend starts singing, entire environment created. And you can, because it's, kind of like ambient and in the background, notice it. But when you go back and listen to the lyrics of the song, like it's almost to a T. It's really interesting. It's like a mix of both Killmonger and T'Challa's mindsets going into the final battle when you look at it. Because like most of Kendrick's verse is talking about, he's like, yes, I am prepared to lay down my life if it's what has to be done for the greater good. And I'm here for the fight. I'm here to be a hero. I'm here to make things right. I am not going to stand idly by while shit goes left. Well, most of the choruses from the weekend is all about, I'm willing to die for you. I'm willing to kill for you. I'm going to spill this blood for you. It's almost like Eric communicating with his father, which it kind of gives me chills the way that Pray For Me kind of ends up being a fun juxtaposition between T'Challa and N'Jaka. You can't talk about Black Panther without addressing the absolute tragedy it is that we've lost Chadwick Boseman.
Dude, not gonna lie to you, I watched Black Panther over the summer, the night before he passed away. Like, I watched it at night, woke up in the morning, 10 a.m., sleeping in. One of the first things I saw on my phone was like a news report about that. And I was like, I fell asleep like halfway through the movie. And I was just like, no way. And I just know, like my heart sank, my stomach. I was just, it's not fair. And to know that he was like shooting incredible movies while going through all of these treatments, and knowing that at the end of it, like things looked good. Like he was confident he could put the weight back on for Black Panther 2. Like never told anyone and just did his job and killed it every time. Oh shit, man. You can't like.
No, it is absolutely one of the, in my opinion, one of the most heartbreaking losses we've ever seen in film. This man, at such a young age, had such a prolific career already.
It's only like 43, I'm pretty sure.
Only 43, has already brought, Jackie Robinson, James Brown to life, a character or roles as, original characters, and also made a superhero who, in terms of general popularity at one point was pretty D-list. Most people didn't know who Black Panther was. Let's not forget that. It's hard to remember a time where people didn't have like Black Panther as just a character and a shorthand that they knew, but it's true, to being one of the most popular and marketable heroes of all time. Again, I'll let the box office kind of speak for itself on that one.
Damn near close to 1.4 billion. So, a feat in itself.
Absolutely. This movie truly, I hate when people say the Black Panther's overrated. I question.
He's not like this. Oh, there was like a deep tangent about to go down, but it doesn't feel necessary anymore because I feel like our viewers also know that that's a load of shit.
Yeah, it's 100%. I'll put it this way: every person I've ever seen or heard say that Black Panther is overrated is a white man. And I'm sure they think Joker's a fucking masterpiece too. I don't care for that movie, but
oh, damn. We used to see so much of the same eye, and then you made a comment early 2016, and it just hasn't been the same since. Like, I'm gonna tell you guys what that is too, but you gotta wait probably like another
I've
3
made fun
weeks.
of myself for it so much on the main show.
There's been a nice tease going on for it.
I am so excited for everybody to hear that story from your perspective. Again, like I said before, I don't remember saying it. I have zero recollection of ever saying it.
You probably don't remember the like look on my face either, or the audible what that I gave.
Oh my god, Batman v Superman review. But yeah, Black Panther is not overrated at all. It is a masterpiece. It is an amazing movie. I think Black Panther is the perfect distillation of what I've said about the MCU for a while. That it is a high-end action movie franchise. It is not a turn off your brain and watch us, launch a car through a mountain.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's perfectly entertaining.
You can have fun with those movies, but like you can have fun with these movies and then some.
You can have fun with them and then some. Exactly. That no, it is not necessarily like high art cinema, but it's an action movie that wants you to pay attention. It's an action movie that has questions for you. And I feel like most of the MCU on some level, be it the material that it's adapting or the nature of the stories that it's telling, it asks a good bit more of its audience and rewards its audience for participating very regularly. And I think that cannot be commended enough for the MCU as a franchise, but for this movie in particular, because of its myriad connections to the greater MCU, in both function and form. We have Black Panther and the narrative of Black Panther because of the events of Captain America Civil War, but we also have those little passing one-liner lines that, if you're just a Joe Blow off the street, wanted to go see Black Panther, never seen another Marvel movie, never even seen a superhero movie, this movie does not faze you at all.
Yep.
But if you've been paying attention, if you've been watching, if you're invested, oh, look, another white boy for us to fix.
Stay tuned for the end credit scene.
Yeah, with White Wolf. So I love Black Panther. I don't know if it's in my top 5 MCU movies, for the only reason being my own personal biases and love for
certain characters.
Yeah, I've always said I have finale bias, so Avengers Endgame is up there because of that. On top of the fact that it feels so, I love event comics. I know most people who are super into comic books think that the concept of the event story is like a cancer on comic books, and in a lot of ways they're right, but I still love those massive crossovers. Even though sometimes they do take up too much of a comic book, too much of a company's schedule. I understand why people dislike them, but I love event crossover stories, and that's what Endgame is. Brought to life.
Killed it. So is Infinity War.
Same with Infinity War. Again, Spider-Man's my all-time favorite superhero, so just having him in the MCU puts those two movies up there for me.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But I think once you muddle through, I think my top 5 MCU movies in no particular order are Civil War, Endgame, Far From Home, Infinity War, Age of Ultron.
Got some diversity in there.
Homecoming probably slips in there somewhere as well, maybe tied with one of the other movies. But Black Panther's right behind it. And to get up there, you have to fight through basically all of my hard biases that are really hard for me to break from.
No, I feel you.
It's right. It just has to get past me just going, oh, it feels like a comic book, and having really specific things as a fan of the material appealed to for me. Outside of that, this movie is all the way up at the top, man.
I couldn't agree more. I haven't made a top 5, and quite a long time. Of no particular order, I'd say like Guardians 1, Thor Ragnarok, Endgame, probably Infinity War, and then either Civil War or Winter Soldier. But at the same time, that's also just like my own biases, like particular action sequences, my personal favorite characters, some of my favorite plot lines, and like also just like the ability to have fun. Not that you can't have fun with Black Panther, but there's like a childhood thing in me that loves the first Guardians, and there's something hilarious and like so rewatchable about Ragnarok that I can just do it whenever I want. But
Oh
Black
yeah,
Panther's in like, I'm not going to say it's in its own category because I don't think that it is. It's definitely, it's like, it's an action movie. It's by itself. Its concept's complex. It's different from other films like that. But still in that category.
yeah.
It's special.
It is very, very special. With that, Devin, final thoughts and a letter grade for Black Panther.
Final thoughts on Black Panther. It had such a high ceiling of potential. And I think if it didn't reach it, we're talking like a fingertip away from just like getting every ounce of juice you could out of making a great MCU film. So with that, for me, I think Black Panther gets an A to A minus, somewhere in there. If it was a number grade, I'd say like a 94.
All right. I like that.
93, 94, maybe like 93.5. That feels right in my heart.
Yeah, I like that number. I think I'm right there with you. I think this movie absolutely, it had a hell of a feat to accomplish. It had to create Wakanda, which is such an important and pivotal and iconic location in the Marvel lore, and it does so. And it weaves this very complex story of indicting the past, indicting your past to fix your future, addressing the ways that the misgivings of the past create today's threats, and addressing the fact that the people who want to fight the most have the most reasons to fight.
Yeah.
And learning to clean up those messes that you've made on a societal level. This movie means so much to so many. um I anticipate Black Panther is going to have have the effect on a lot of people the way that like Star Wars did, where you talk to like anybody in the film industry. You toss a rock, you'll hit 18 people who say something to the effect of something inspired by Star Wars. I look forward to seeing the amount of people who come up through the film industry, you know, that say it's especially people in the African American community who talk about like Black Panther was that moment that I felt seen. I always say that having these stories to see yourself in is so important. And I think that the way that the media we consume as people and the things that we're drawn to and the things that help us feel like the world at its core in some way sees us or understands us is something that I could not live without. And getting to see that horizon expand for so many people because representation fucking matters warms my heart so much. Um, I give Black Panther an A+.
Very nice. Something we didn't talk about too is like this movie was supposed to set up a trilogy. And like what an absolute banger to start out with. I feel like it could only get better too, like seeing his journey play out just from how much he changed in one movie.
Plus having to cope with the whole
Like
dying.
what happened to Wakanda those 5 years? Like maybe like something's been brewing for a while now, and there's this omnipotent threat coming to Wakanda.
Yeah, I honestly, it's just now I'm realizing that there are 5 years unaccounted for of Wakanda. The entire royal family is probably dead in that 5 years because we know both Shuri and T'Challa died in the snap.
Yeah, not sure if their mother was still around. We know Okoye was sort of like good, ambassador with Scarlet Witch, or not Scarlett Johansson, not Scarlet Witch, Black Widow, in Endgame, talking about that. That little Easter egg. We had some tectonic plate movements. Did you look into it? It's an earthquake underwater. We deal with it by doing nothing, or like something like that.
We deal with it by not dealing with it.
Yeah.
Big as the light. Yeah, we touched on the hopes for what a sequel could look like, and I do still look forward to whatever Black Panther 2 and 3 look like. I do not envy anybody working on Black Panther 2.
Nope.
With that, Devin, my friend, where can the lovely people find you?
Guys, you can follow me on Instagram at Devin Armel. No, Devin J. Armel. Yep. And you can follow me on Twitter at Devin Armel45. Jarod, how about yourself?
Oh, you can find me splashing water up my fucking nose. Oh, there was like one tiny ice cube that went all the way up and then like went terminal velocity through the bottle and just bloop and like one little droplet right through the schnoz. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at DarkJedi2552, and you can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and on our website, www.thenerdacademypodcast.com, where if you're feeling generous, you can donate to our Patreon page. Speaking of our patrons, thank you to the $10 alumnus who hear this show a week early, the Waffle Wizard, Delta 9, Case and Breon, and Zach Canals. You guys help us make the content we love to produce. Consider checking out the $5 tier. God damn it.
You got it.
Access to our Patreon exclusive shows. We have the Knights of the Nerd Republic Versus series. This weekend at time of record, we're going to be doing our latest episode with that. We're going to be doing Kyle Katarn versus Darth Malgus. Check out Heroic History 101, where Travis and I talk about older comic book stories. We're going to be doing some Sam Wilson Captain America to celebrate Black History Month, and Ring and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So stay tuned for that. And you can find our audio commentaries for the Nerd Academy Movie Club. If you would like to support the Nerd Academy podcast even further, you can check out our student store link on our website, which will take you to our TeePublic. We can get all manner of Nerd Academy goodies. With that, thank you all so very much for listening. And cut? Is that an outro we have?
It's still running in the top left corner.
It's running, but I think I kind of like cut as the outro thing.